The Sasquatch Experience do not necessarily reflect the opinion of the hosts, sponsors, or affiliates of the Sasquatch Experience. As always, listener discretion is advised.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Does a legend walk among us, lurking in the forests of our world?
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my sensor light came on and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man or something. Looks like a man. I don't know what it was.
For over 15 years, we've talked with scientists, researchers, investigators, and witnesses, trying to gain insight and proof around the existence of this mysterious entity.
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
Deal!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right...
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Join us as we continue into the investigation of the Sasquatch Experience. Well, guys, everyone, welcome to the Sasquatch Experience for Monday, January 15th, 2024, Martin Luther King Day, as we celebrate this sort of solemn day in remembrance and appreciation. But, guys, it is great to be here to talk about our favorite subject, of course, Sasquatch, as we know it. And we got a very interesting show tonight here. Vance kind of came up with this one called The Big Distraction, and after the little bit of housekeeping, we'll throw it over to Vance and we'll get started. Folks, I'm Sean the Fort Chop Forker. Over to my left is James Baker, Vance Nesbitt, Matt Arner, and Henry May. Of course, we're all labeled because, well, we should be labeled. So you folks who may be joining us for the first time know who the hell we are, if you're not just familiar with our voice. But we've been on a roll here. We had... who did we have on last? Eli Watson last week, talking about Bigfoot, the road to discovery. That was a great episode, well received. Folks still talking about that one. And of course, if you're listening in, we all sound pretty damn good tonight. Some upgrades and improvements made to the show to make us sound better. Lots of things to be happy about. Some real good shit that has been in the works. Guys, welcome tonight. What's on your minds? We'll start with Baker, go around the horn, and then we'll get going.
Well, I don't know about you, but this cold is just getting a little bit too much for me. But it is January, so I expected it.
Yeah.
All right.
And I ran out of allergy pills, so I'm just kind of dealing with other medication.
Yeah, well, drink your problems away, Bake.
It doesn't help.
Yeah.
It is cold, that's for sure. Vance, how are you doing?
Hey, I was up at 3:30 this morning to prepare myself for my full-time job, and it was minus 15 degrees. I'm like, oh, thank you. And my car started right up, and I'm like, wow, that's even a bigger thank you. So, yeah, it's been a miserably brutal cold, but we'll get through this. We've got a week of this, and then it should break, and we'll get out of the climate change, global warming. We'll get out of that whole sphere.
Well, we got you to
back
work
to
this
some
weekend.
normality again.
We got you to work this weekend doing some behind the scenes stuff for the show, so it was quite busy. Henry, how are you surviving down there in the Mississippi state?
Oh, we're getting along. We're getting along, although traffic is a little slow on the roads. Not as much traffic as we usually get because of the ice being on the roads. But
did you get the ice? Good. Did you get the ice out? Was it still a block from 1994?
No.
Oh, poor Henry. And Matt, my friend, how are you?
Yes, sir. I'm doing pretty good today. Again, we do have the cold here. We have more snow coming tonight, so it's going to hit us. I
Oh.
think a little heavier on this side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to. I love the snow. I'm one of those rare people. I mean, the cold weather, the snow. The only thing I could get away from is the ice, but other than
Hmm.
that, everything else is like winter wonderland. My wife doesn't really particularly care for that. She's more of a hey, let's go down south. Me, on the other hand, I'd rather be up out in the mountains or skiing or snowboarding or something.
Sure.
So this is my time of year.
Here,
Well,
here.
it's good for footprints. So we'll see if we
Yes.
get any
Yeah.
wintertime reports coming in from the Keystone State
Yes.
or even out where everybody else is at. We know we got Henry there in Mississippi.
Yeah.
We've just got people all out and about, guys. Vance in Illinois. So when we bring this show to you every week, just keep in mind we're bringing everybody continentally into this for a different kind of conversation. But guys, the great show with Eli last week. I can't thank you enough. Folks, go back and take a look at that. Our website's been updated, so folks can go and check out every episode we have. If you go and click on the show title, it'll launch the player so you can go listen to that episode. That was a lot of work, but I got that up for everybody as well. Enough about this crap. Let's talk about the meats and potatoes while everyone's here tonight. Not that I can talk. You came to a podcast expecting an articulate host, and you got me. So I apologize for that. But I guess one more thing. You can support the Sasquatch Experience. Gentlemen, for how much?
Oh, I think it's $2
$2
a
a month.
month.
And get access to mostly ad-free shows and some other cool things that we have listed in there, and more coming. I know I say that all the time, but we're always working on something. So it's worth the while, and for $2, that's not a whole hell of a lot. So just quit the bitching and start dishing out the dough. We want the money, folks. We're not in it for the money. I'm just
Yeah, but it's for show production. It doesn't go into
Yeah.
our pockets to go, to the local, Walmart and buy. No. This goes back into show production. So
right.
all of it does.
We get $2 or we start doing the show naked.
Oh God, I'll pay
No.
$5 just so
No.
we don't see that.
A big bag of nopes. Yeah,
And
And of course,
no.
report your
It'll
sighting
be the
and encounter.
Sasquatch experience.
Oh, there we go. That's
Oh,
someone mute him. Someone mute him. And of course, you can report your sighting or encounter info at SasquatchExperience.com. Vance, episode 91 tonight, the big distraction. Let's talk about what's on your mind. You put this show together. You threw me the concept. I thought it was great and said, what the hell? Let's run with it.
Well, look, some weeks back I did the news segment, and I would throw in the news segment the big distraction for the Bigfoot bullhorn. And the reason why I did that is because currently, geopolitically, things are so upside down. I mean, there's so much going on around the world and in our own country. And I know a lot of people are very concerned and upset and have stress issues over this. And, I wanted to call that the big distraction on the Bigfoot bullhorn. So I figured, geopolitically, they throw something shiny over here and say, ooh, take a look at this. Here's a UFO report. Take a look at this. There's been 10-foot aliens seen in Miami at a shopping mall
And
to
Brazil.
distract from what's going on nefariously in the political world. So my whole thought was, we need to turn the tables on that and call this the big distraction. And to go back to Bigfoot, and let's use Bigfoot as our personal big distraction to get away from the insanity that's going on around us and give you a peace of mind and spend some time listening to conversations about Bigfoot, listen to conversations that regard evidence that has come forth, and we can combat against all this insanity that's going on around us. So I did come up with the term the big distraction, at the Bigfoot Bullhorn on the news segment, and let's see where it goes, because there's options out there for us to be able to take a look. If you're new into the whole Sasquatchery world, let's take a look at it and see, well, what's this all about? Oh, hey, there's a conference that's going on in a local region of mine. Let's get out. Let's get our hiking sticks. Let's take a walk in the woods. Let's see what's out there. Not that you're going out there to take a look for Bigfoot, but to get away from the insanity that's going on currently in the politics of our world right now. And that's one wonderful way to fight back against this. And it's good for mental health reasons. And you can sit with like-minded people at conferences. You can see things for yourself. You may even discover some evidence out there that you may not know what to do with, but you can collect that evidence and bring it to the Sasquatch Experience or to any venue that's in the Bigfoot community, because we're not just going to limit it to us. We're not selfish that way. But let's bring that information forward and distract ourselves from what's going on. And that totally reverses the psychology of what's going on right now. Because again, hey, there's been 10-foot aliens, like I brought up earlier, walking around at the Miami Mall, and there was,
it was a sale.
I think it was a total distraction from craziness that's going on politically. Let's step away from that. Let's get back to some grassroots ideas of, look, there's things that exist. Let's take a look at those. And it'll certainly help us feel a hell of a lot better in the long run for mental health reasons, especially if you get out. Even though, excuse me.
Yeah, right there, bro.
Oh, that's charming. We're good. I muted him, so you all.
Well, so I'll kind of take from there. Me and Sean
Vance
can kind of
died.
give you an idea, and Matt can. Ever since I've gotten that little piece of land, my whole idea of what goes on in our world is a lot bigger, because like a lot of times we talk theories about, hey, how could this creature exist, and how could this exist, and how could nobody ever notice? And like I'm digging a hole to put in a pond, and there's a deer standing behind me. You know what? He was there 10 minutes before I noticed him. He chose to let me notice it. You can hear where noises come from. There's not that extra distractionary things and things like that. That hour out there just kind of breathing good air and thinking opens up a lot.
Right.
And maybe we need to do more of that. Maybe not in this freaking cold, but
Well,
it warms up a little bit.
I agree with you both on the point you're making. We do need to be out more. We do need to explore all this, and I think at times we do take it for granted that there is this, wondrous natural world around us that we just drive through every day. And I can tell you that sometimes I'm even taken aback as I go on my back roads travels. Of I'm drifting off while I'm supposed to be paying attention as I'm looking at the woods, going, I wonder what the hell's in there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I just want to stop and get out and just frolic through the woodlands and see.
Oh, how about it? Yeah.
But that's an everyday temptation that we have, and it is a good distraction. Yeah. Now Matt and I think, and Matt, I'll let you go here in a minute to give you an opportunity to jump in. But you and I kind of took this from an opposite perspective, right?
Yes.
But as much as it is a positive distraction, there are some folks that use it for, maybe an unintentional distraction as well. And Matt, I'll go ahead and let you talk before we jump down that rabbit hole.
Sure. Just briefly, and we really don't want to make this, too much of an argument on one side versus the other. But man, I'll tell you, there's some stories that go out there that I've heard. That I'm sure all of you have heard. That I just sit there and I'm like, okay, this didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have some people out there that for different reasons, uh, they may see that they've had an experience in the woods, and it was something that was just too incredible. Um, but again, for being more of grounded researchers, we just kind of sit there, and the possibility of that happening is nil. And I've heard some really good stories. In particular, probably one of the best ones was there was a group of occultists that were in the section of the Pine Barrens, and they were doing their thing, and apparently a Sasquatch came out and started dancing with them. So something like that, I'm just like, well, uh, but um, but again, there's different reasons why people will have this, whether it's something that's organic,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's something that isn't quite so organic, where it may be somebody looking for attention, or it may be somebody that you know maybe makes that misidentification, but really wants it to be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for jumping down the rabbit hole,
No,
but
No,
but
no.
you know what? You
yeah.
bring up a really good point there,
Right.
Matt. That ties into the big distraction. You have this experience that takes away everything else off the sides, off the right and the left side of you, and now you're
Hmm.
focused on this particular event that happened to you. That
Hmm.
is the big distraction.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'll tell you, when you do, there's things that happen to you psychologically when you do have some sort of experience or some sort of sighting. I've had it myself.
Hmm.
I'm trained, to not have tunnel vision, and when I had my experience in the Allegheny National Forest, I caught myself having tunnel vision at the time, and so uh, there's things that, again, somebody that may have some sort of experience, whether it's something that's a cryptid or otherwise. um Again, your mind is working at a different level than it would when you're just walking down the path, looking for birds
Hmm.
or animals. When you have something like that happen, again, you're going to get that. You're going to center in on what that is, and you can have anything going on around you, and you're not going to allow that to distract you at all.
You know
Hmm.
what
Which kind
you
of
make
ties
a
in with your discussion.
what I think is really interesting, Matt, is as you know, you talk about some of those folks who, jump down that rabbit hole and really become, caught up in their own, I don't want to say illusion, but their own whatever manifestation, right? There are things, and I firmly
Hmm.
believe that there are zoo forms and thought forms that some of these things people experience, they experience because they just merely, simply want to. And somehow
Hmm.
that manifests itself in some sort of psychological simulation. And I'm not saying that happens for everybody, and that's the case for every Bigfoot encounter. I had an encounter, you had an encounter. I can damn well guarantee you what I experienced wasn't no zoo form or thought form.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
there are some folks who I truly feel want it so bad that they do manifest it, for themselves, either by choice or, perhaps it's some sort of mania that they have to deal with. Let's go back to, gentlemen who I think wanted to experience Bigfoot more than anybody, the Four Horsemen, right? We go
Hmm.
back. How many of them had a sighting?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And who wanted it more than them at that point in time?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And, we could say for some of those guys, this was a borderline obsession. Look how much time Green spent with it. Renee DeHinden. I think Renee DeHinden, probably out of all of them, in my estimation, was the most obsessed and dedicated in terms of his research. I mean, the man lived in a camper on a, collecting shells to, metal to survive.
Including
Also,
sacrificing his marriage,
and his relationship with his family.
It was just completely destroyed by his obsession.
So you talk about this big distraction, Vance. This big distraction, man, that's a very, I want to say a wide statement that categorically could fit many different people in many different ways. And if we go back through Bigfoot history, like I said, we see how this big distraction really cost people a lot. I'm sure it's cost people some jobs. I'm sure it's cost people some families. I mean, not even just the Four Horsemen. I'm sure I could go in with my own personal life and tell you that, when I came out as a public Bigfoot person, the ridicule and the joking around you take, Matt, you in law enforcement, I'm sure you'd try to keep that as low key as possible, right?
I do.
Yep. You don't want to deal with the, constant barrage.
The ridicule, right?
The ridicule that you deal with. So, I mean, this distraction for some, a hobby for others, could really be costly. And I'll go ahead and let one of you guys talk because I'm filibustering right now.
Go ahead, Henry. Come on, let's hear from Henry.
Well, when we talk about the big distraction, I think that we should realize that family always comes first before bigfooting. I mean, Renee DeHinden obviously didn't hold to that, but hey, he became one of the greatest Sasquatch researchers of all time, even though he never actually had a sighting.
Sure. Now, Henry, that's a good point that you're making. Guys, we'll talk about that because it's on the topic. Do you think having a sighting hurts or helps your research? I've got a strong opinion on this, but I want to hear from you guys first.
Well, I have never had a sighting. And I'll be honest with you, the only reason that I really got interested is because, Sean, you were. And it was something that interests me. Now, Bigfoot wasn't the crypto of my choice. I'm a Nessie guy and Mothman just because of the timing on those and that to me, there's a lot of critical evidence that's plausible on one way of it being a creature and another way being something completely different. But as far as the Bigfoot community is, the community made me care more about it because there's a lot of really smart people that believe in something and they have a lot of good ideas about it. Like, Meldrum isn't an idiot. One of my favorites is Lauren Coleman. Coleman isn't an idiot. If Coleman, when they said about Nessie maybe being eels and Coleman did the research, I believed it because he took the time to do it. And he wasn't one of those people that would just spit out a thing because everybody else is doing it. Sean's the same way. I mean, like we had that Bigfoot cooler sighting, and we kind of like, I 110% thought it was crap, but I was waiting to hear from him because it was like, and then we both kind of said, yeah, this is just BS. But like the videos and the things I see, like a lot of those make me depressed because I think that we're smarter than this and we're better than this. But at the same time, I like that people are out there looking and taking the time to enjoy the wilderness.
And by Bigfoot in the cooler, you're talking about the Georgia Bigfoot hoax.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think, people really need to catch up on their history about some of these things. And we'll go ahead and we'll continue on down that. Just I wanted to give a reference point to the Bigfoot in the cooler comment. Vance, so your thought on that. Does having a sighting help or hinder your research?
Well, I was never into the Bigfoot thing whatsoever. I saw the Patterson Gimlin film when I was a kid, and I was freaked out by it. But I was, 7 years old when I first saw it. And, okay, this is a creature that exists in the Pacific Northwest. Okay, I'm safe. I'm in Illinois. But when I had my experience on a camping trip with my oldest brother on New Year's 1999 going into 2000, and of course Y2K was supposed to wipe the entire planet out. We had a bizarre experience. I never put two and two together that it was maybe a Bigfoot. I had no idea. All I knew is it seemed like a dinosaur was tromping through the woods chasing a dog and a herd of deer out of the wood line. And then we had pine cones thrown at us. I knew nothing about any of this stuff. I just found it completely out of this world and completely bizarre. It wasn't until maybe 10 years after that event happened that I'm hearing, just by happenstance, experiences of people having rocks thrown at them, having grunts, having being chased out of the woods, but yet not being able to see what's in the wood line that's chasing them out of the woods. And I start putting two and two together. I'm like, well, maybe this is what happened. And then all of a sudden, the sinkhole opened up and I fell into it. And now I want to know. That's what I got.
Matt, go ahead.
I came into it with this pre disposition of what a sighting or encounter was, because we're fed it through back in our day. We didn't have the social media, so we had TV like Unknown Mysteries and all those shows. So yeah, it was always the very overly dramatic encounter or sighting. And really, I mean, the things that we've had happen in the woods, uh, may not have led to, personally have not led to that over dramatization. There was no, 10-foot hairy man standing 10 yards in front of me, shaking a stick or a tree. It was, we had the incident with the tree that was shaking. We had vocalizations at certain times. But whether it really hinders, helps or hinders someone, I don't know. Like I always think back to one of the people I think of as a mentor is like Dr. Russ Jones. And the one, he doesn't even really call it an encounter. He said he was out walking his dog off trail, and he sees, a guy hiking down, towards the hollow, wearing all black in the middle of summertime. Well, to him, when he initially, made that initial look at it, he didn't think, because probably in our minds we're thinking that it's going to be this, big hairy beast and, crossing the road in the middle of the night. And it could be something as subtle as just, something, crossing through the woods that you may think is another hiker. So again, having that idea in your mind that it's going to be this, super, made for TV type experience, it really doesn't come out that way. And in the long run, we see that with the Small Town Monsters guys too. Between Eli and Alex, they they talk about, the different experiences that they've had, but they really haven't had that, that again made for TV thing. But what they've gotten though is great evidence,
Right.
from them doing those shows and exposing the public to not just the Bigfoot world, but also to the nature world as well.
We're really important, right? And we talked to Eli last week. He's never had a sighting yet. He says he can't wait to get the sound of him taking a crap from it. The audio from that will be gold. Right. But no, it's, I mean,
Yeah.
point well made. Henry, your thought on that topic, and then I'll give mine, and then we'll take our break.
Well, the thing is, I think that if you have a sighting, it might lessen your objectivity a little.
Mhm.
You might not be as objective about sightings, but then again, you might be more skeptical about somebody else's sighting too. So you never know. I'm
Two-way
skeptical all the
street,
time.
Right.
I have to tell you, from my own personal experience, it made everything a lot more difficult for me. Having my objectivity, like I questioned myself, was I going to be able to be impartial and unbiased moving forward? And then, as I've talked with Matt over the years, it's also kind of, bolstered my skepticism, though, because I feel that once you've experienced this for yourself, there's this unconscious ability to kind of peer into the eyes of someone else and be able to gauge that bullshit barometer.
Mm-hmm.
And be able to see who really experienced something and who's making it up. I don't know what it is. There's a connection. I could be insane. That's a possibility, but it's just different. But I struggled with that for a very long time. I almost left the field in general after my sighting because it was very impactful to me. And that impact was, how do I reconcile being able to have this experience and now being able to be objective anymore? So, Henry's point, he hit it right on the nose. With my thoughts, it does make it a lot harder. And I think you have to be very careful because you want to really believe people after that. And it's not always a, comfortable position to be in. So, Henry, good job on that. I think you hit it right on the nose. You kind of took the words out of my mouth in a more simple way. And guys, on that note, we got to take our breaks, and we'll be right back. I Can't Talk, Sasquatch Experience, Sean Forker, James Baker, Vance Nesbitt, Henry May, and Matt Arner. Catch us on the flip side.
The next Small Town Monsters Kickstarter launches on February 1st of 2024. Mark your calendars and join the campaign to be a part of STM history. Backing the campaign guarantees you a plethora of physical and digital rewards, including artwork, books, apparel, and early access to the next round of Small Town Monsters films, with your name in the credits. Films like On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Ancients, Lost Contact, Dogman Territory, Werewolves in the Land Between the Lakes, and the Kickstarter backer exclusive Cryptid, The Goat Man. Visit smalltownmonsters.com for more information, and be sure to follow us on your social media platform of choice for more news and sneak peeks at upcoming Kickstarter rewards. You can join the campaign anytime during the month of February, but don't delay. Once it's over, it's over. Back the campaign, choose your rewards, and be a part of this incredible journey.
Hello, I'm Vance Nesbitt, and you may know me from the hit show Sasquatch Experience. Now introducing a new fan-based store of original Sasquatch Experience merchandise, Squatch Pro Shop, offering quality-made and designed shirts from the classic prints to current prints. And now we're also offering the genuine Yeti Company Rambler travel mug with the custom-made Sasquatch Experience logo. Stop by now and buy one shirt for the price of two and receive the second shirt for absolutely free. Visit SasquatchExperience.com and go to Squatch Pro Shop. Thank you.
News team, assemble!
Hello, I'm Vance Nesbitt, and you may know me.
Can we hear a Bigfoot call? I understand you do a Bigfoot call.
They make all kinds of calls, but I just do this one. We think it's like an adult male call, like when they're looking for each other over long distance, but it goes like.
Yes, James Bobo Fader on the Conan O'Brien Show. not to be confused with James Yo-Yo Baker, who can only make that kind of noise stepping into a thorn bush barefoot. Welcome to this edition of the Bigfoot Bullhorn exclusively on the Sasquatch Experience. And to kick things off, us here at the Sasquatch Experience do take points of view from all different angles regarding the subject. And there is a magazine called Northwest Sportsman. And the article is written by Andy Walgamut. And the article reads as follows. Rest in peace, Bigfoot. This magazine declares the legendary Northwest forest critter is dead. Call off the hunt. Bigfoot is dead, and it's time to move on and settle other mysteries. So declares a magazine in its January-February 2024 issue. What's more, Skeptical Inquirer, which touts itself as dedicated to science and reason, goes full bah humbug in stating that it is clear there's no evidence the creature ever existed in the first place. Then why did it start the article by saying rest in peace, Bigfoot? The critter is dead. Well, the only way it could be dead is if it existed. Their article claims that most sightings of the legendary biped that has haunted more than a few of the Northwest campfires over the decades are actually just regular critters that have been misidentified, and others were just flat-out hoaxes. They say that while there's a small portion of reports that can't easily be written off, given all the ways errors can be made in collecting purported evidence, such as bad data, flawed methodological assumptions, mistaken identification, poor recall, hoaxing, etc., there's neither has to be nor it is likely that the world hide-and-seek champion is yet to be found lurking amid the unsustained and ambiguous cases. Instead, the most likely reason for the failure to find Bigfoot is that the creature simply does not exist, and that the apparent evidence for them rests mostly on mistakes, hoaxes, and wishful thinking. What a killjoy. Bigfoot is beloved regional lore, and his obituary may not sit well with great Northwesterners in the cottage industry. Stickers, magnets, t-shirts, even a nativity scene with Bigfoot, which was seen, was built around him as a unique cultural phenomena as it matures. He goes on to state, higher education ruined me, and years later, after writing a pretty skeptical article in my hometown's weekly newspaper about a Bigfoot buff who on one hand was hell-bent on debunking the Patterson-Gimlin film, and on the other hand was professed his own evidence was pretty legit. I heard about it from another uncle and cousin who were pretty positive Bigfoot roamed the hinterlands and that science doesn't know every damn thing there is to know. When we come back, we're going to continue pounding information into your head about February 1st.
You're listening to the Bigfoot Bullhorn right here on the Sasquatch Experience.
Do you have feelings of inadequacy? Do you suffer from shyness? Do you sometimes wish you were more assertive? If you answered yes to any of these questions, ask your doctor or pharmacist about tequila. Tequila is the safe, natural way to feel better and more confident about yourself and your actions. Tequila can help ease you out of your shyness and let you tell the world that you're ready and willing to do just about anything. You'll notice the benefits of tequila almost immediately, and with a regimen of regular doses, you can overcome any obstacles that prevent you from living the life you want to live. Shyness and awkwardness will be a thing of the past, and you'll discover many talents you never knew you had. Stop hiding and start living with tequila. Tequila may not be right for everyone. Women who are pregnant or nursing should not use tequila. However, women who wouldn't mind nursing or becoming pregnant are encouraged to try it. Side effects may include dizziness, nausea, vomiting, incarceration, erotic lustfulness, loss of motor control, loss of clothing, loss of money, loss of virginity, delusions of grandeur, table dancing, headache, dehydration, dry mouth, and a desire to sing karaoke and play all-night rounds of strip poker, truth or dare, and naked twister. Warning, the consumption of alcohol may make you think you're whispering when you're not. Is a major factor in dancing like a retard. May cause you to tell your friends over and over again that you're in love with them. Also may cause you to think you can sing. Alcohol may lead you to believe that ex-lovers are really dying for you to telephone them at 4 in the morning. Alcohol may make you think you can logically converse with members of the opposite sex without spitting. It may create the illusion that you are tougher, smarter, faster, and better looking than most people. And it may lead you to think people are laughing with you. Alcohol may cause pregnancy. And it also may be a major factor in getting your ass kicked. So what are you waiting for? Stop hiding and start living with tequila.
Small Town Monsters, join them on February 1st, 2024 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Kickstarter Live Launch Party, featuring trivia, film previews, and question and answers with the Small Town Monster crew. Be sure to check out the Kickstarter preview page so you can sign up and be notified when the campaign launches. The 2024 Small Town Monsters Kickstarter will usher in a new era of Small Town Monster films. See Lost Contact, On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Ancients, and much, much more before their public release with your name in the credits, and be part of the future of Small Town Monsters. Thanks again for listening to this edition of the Bigfoot Bullhorn exclusively on the Sasquatch Experience. And as always, everybody,
keep your toes in the mud.
We're back and alive. So that's a good thing. A little bit of a longer break there, but what do you do? Was necessary, right? Folks, you've tuned back into the Sasquatch Experience. Sean Forker, James Baker, Vance Nesbitt, Henry May, and Matt Arner. Guys, before we took a break, we were talking about this big distraction. And we were talking about, does having a sighting really change your objectivity or help or hinder your investigative techniques? Vance, let's go more into this, shall we?
Sure. I would say that whether you do have an experience, whether you can confirm it as a Bigfoot or not, it still would draw you in to want answers. And I think answers is the big thing. Look, 99.9% of the entire Sasquatchery community wants answers. And so you have an experience, whether you've seen something or just heard something or had an experience, you're going to want to be able to dive in a little bit more as to what just happened. And I'm leaving the word hell out of it, what just happened. And you're going to want to have some sort of tangible evidence to say, well, maybe this is a real thing. And then you present that to the community, and then the community takes that as a distraction. Look at how many videos we see. Is this a real video, or is there something manipulated with it that made it a distraction of some sort? And it's a hoax, or is this reality? And it drives you down that entire pathway for a very long time to try to come to some conclusive answers.
Well, I think that no matter how good this AI is getting, it still looks fake. I mean, look at Hollywood. Godzilla and King Kong still look fake as hell.
Right.
And I think AI is not going to be getting in that position where it's going to fool anybody with 2 bits between their brains.
Right.
Between their ears and their brain. Where I think we have to be careful is, we're sharing videos last night right? As we talk quite a bit, if you can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we do socialize outside this 1 hour a week. And we're sharing videos. And Vance, the one thing that kind of perturbed you is why the hell do all these videos have music in them? Right? And
Thanks for bringing that up. Right.
It's quite simply because they're reposted videos.
Right.
You know, so what we're getting all these videos that are constantly be reposting and reposting and reposting, and we don't know the original context upon which they were filmed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we don't know the true story behind the picture. We have to go and we have to search and search and search and search
Right.
to find the origin for many of these. Baker, you remember that you got the message from your brother that said, "Oh my God, look, this was seen."
I was gonna state that, and he's like, "That was up the road from us." I was like, "No, it wasn't." So I saw that 2 years ago, you know, or I saw that, you know, and then I saw it 6 months after that, and when it's kind of like whenever you talk about urban legends, and somebody goes, "This happened to me in Chicago." No. Bloody Mary happened in Louisiana. No, it happened in California. No, you know what? It didn't happen. Somebody made it up, and then it just kept going.
Right.
You know, there's so many different stories that are told eventually. And I admit that I'm just as stupid about that because honestly, like I said, as if Sean or Lauren Coleman told me aliens came and saw him, I'd tell people because I believe it, because I believe in them. But I also know that they're smart. Okay. But the problem is once it got past me and gets on to Matt, and it gets on to Matt's friend, and Matt's friend after that, maybe back over to Vance's friend, you stop losing the core person you believed in, and then it's just shit.
Right.
You know, and then you're starting to tear it apart. The sightings we see today, I have so much burned in skeptic about compared to, we had a show, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago? It might have been 2. But like we had people seeing this thing in the 50s, 60s, the 40s. Those people didn't talk about it. Those people didn't have an internet group to know what it looked like. So when 3 people from across different states said, "I saw a hairy thing that was 8 feet tall, that blah, blah, blah. It had this and it looked like this and it walked like that," I'm more apt to say, yes, there's a good chance they saw something of the same thing. Now, Forker knows a lot of my escape date theories and things like that, and it might have been a bear and things like that. But in general, though, I'm more apt to believe them if somebody tomorrow shows me a video of Bigfoot walking across, well, what was it, that train video where he's walking across the cliff area, and then 2 weeks later, some store goes, "No, we did that to promote our beef sticks," or blah blah blah. Well, yeah, because you're an a-hole, okay, and you're making. But
it's true.
You know, so like I believe in the older research more than I believe in the research now because it's too easy. Like Sean, we've all said a million times, we're spoon feeding you how to make up a sighting.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
I could do it. We could do it tomorrow. Me and Forker could go down to the woods tomorrow, take some pictures, circle some circles. I could get you convinced that it was in my front yard eating ginger root.
Right.
You know.
And with that said, you know, it goes back to the original comment that I threw to Sean. It's very interesting videos that's being shared, but I think it's meant to specifically go viral. So let's put some music in there. Let's put some creepy music in there. Well, I'm sorry, but the creepy music is dubbing out the silence of maybe something subtle that you can hear in the background because there's music playing. Stop it. If you recorded a video, let that video just play without any enhancement whatsoever added to it. And we can figure it out a little bit better.
And piggyback on that video, the original video, from when you were eating potato salad with grandma to when you saw it to when you're shitting yourself in the woods. I want to see it all.
Right.
Show me a little clip.
No.
I want to see the before while you were taking a video. Unless you're some pedo bear, I don't want to see that shit. Okay.
Right.
But then I want to see what's afterwards when you guys are all screaming at each other. There's no way I effing saw that. I want that whole video clip added to the video. Because otherwise, you cut out the exciting part to screw me over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the devil's in the details, right? So if you're looking at a video such as the one we're kind of talking about in Baker, in your case, you want that after footage. I think there's nobody that's that good of an actor that can fake that genuine reaction. Even we've seen all these crappy B-rated Bigfoot movies, or even the good Bigfoot horror movies. It's still acting, and you can tell. There's another train coming through.
Choo choo.
Geesh. There we go. I muted Jim so you can't hear what he's saying, folks. Probably better for the public. You can't hear what he's saying. And but as there's just nobody that's that good at acting that can fabricate. I truly feel that anybody with good common sense can really narrow down when someone's acting or not. And you gotta have the whole story. And to Bake's point. And your point, Vance, when we got these videos that we were watching, there's so much of it left out.
Right.
Now, the one thing I did find compelling in that one particular video is the body language of the subject. Mm-hmm. Kind of fits into the motif of Bigfoot behavior that we've come to know, dodging the light luminescence from the eyes. Still pretty compelling. And I'll find a link to it, and I'll put it in the show notes so folks can take a listen or take a look at what they're listening to. Matt, you have any thoughts on that? AI and video?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing is AI is getting better, but we're also at a point where there's things to look for, and I'm not going to disclose on the podcast what to look for, but there's things that we can find on whether it's AI video or photography that's pretty easy to pick up. If you Google it, I'm sure you'll find some open source information. I'll tell you all about it. But yeah, there's again with the reactions, and that's another thing too. Is with my training experience, I've gone through the body language classes. I've learned about micro expressions. When I see people talking to me, and the big thing was when we did the summer conference with Gwen out in Central PA, the Central PA Bigfoot Festival. There was people that were coming up to us, and you can kind of read them right off the bat. Is this something that they're just trying to see how you're going to react to it with them telling you a story? But then there was also other people that came up to us. There was a farmer that I spoke with that wasn't that far from you, and I was reading his body language. I was reading just about everything from his face, and the guy showed no absolutely no signs that he was being deceitful at all. He did show that he was maybe a little, I wouldn't say scared, but he wanted to keep the encounter private. So that was one big thing, because he doesn't want his name out there. He doesn't want to be pictured on the news or anything like that. He just came up to us to tell us what his encounter was, and it was a pretty good encounter as well.
Right, and he hasn't been in contact with us to investigate either.
He hasn't
really.
So.
Yeah, he just really wanted to share that. What
He
happened.
needs to get off his chest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And we provide that outlet,
Yep.
and that's okay. I'm fine with that. But
Yep.
the investigator in me wants to suit up and wants to get out there and see. And it goes back to another conversation we've had in the past, guys. Some people just, if they knew it existed, wouldn't want to release it to anybody. And I think he's one of these guys that would really, he's okay knowing what's going on. He just needed to tell somebody that would believe him. But, as for going out there and badgering it, I don't think he wants that experience. And also keep in mind that, something I've thought with over the time, if we go out, do we make the situation worse for the people that are experiencing them?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Does the harassment step up? Does the interaction get more physical? I don't know, and I haven't heard that to be the case, but that takes me back in my mind to, Henry the Siege of Hanubi, Oklahoma, right, where those folks brought in those researchers, and the attacks on the home got more intense. and there were shootings going on, and it was a real situation. I think that episode itself would be a good episode for us to go down, that incident.
Oh, absolutely.
That whole thing, got worse when more investigators hit the ground. And, I think a book that, and I'm going to go off on a tangent here, I'm sorry, that I think people need to read when it comes to interactions in Bigfoot is one that gets overlooked many times, and that's The Locals by Tom Powell.
Right.
It's a phenomenal book, isn't it not, Henry? It's a great
yes,
book.
It is.
I think it kind of gets overshadowed by his second book, but the first book is The Locals it's up there in my top 10 of books that you have to read if you're serious about the inquiry. And there are stories in there that you don't get all the time. And we've talked about, habituation and how, as a researcher, you kind of got to be on guard and not get roped into what is obviously bullshit and what really could be an ongoing series of encounters. I think we have to change the term habituation. I think habituation stirs up the, images of the lady who we shall not name in Tennessee who feeds garlic.
Right.
To, that may be something a little bit more fantastic. And look, folks, they're everywhere. And sometimes Matt and I talked today, and without going into details of this specific situation, you got to look at people's psyche. And some people that endure some terrible things find a way to cope. And sometimes that coping mechanism is finding themselves in this imaginary world they live in with fake protectors because they've never dealt with the trauma of their childhood or something traumatic that happened to them. And it is getting a little psychological because it's very true. There are people out there that are really suffering from some deep traumatic things that haven't found healthy outlets to cope with, that make themselves apparent in this community. They get a hell of a following behind them, and it's very dangerous because it's just not as it's meant to be.
But again, that leads us back to the title of the show. That's a big distraction.
It is. It keeps them away from dealing with whatever hurt them, and continuously protects them from the pain of whatever it is. But it's not healthy. And I think when we look at this whole phenomena from a mental health perspective, we have to be very careful, because just as if there's a flesh and blood and a paranormal, we got to start grouping witnesses kind of in the same thing, is that they're the mainstream legitimate or schizophrenic, because there is an unhealthy element that actually could put researchers in danger. And I think that's a larger thing that we don't think about, is the danger we put ourselves in sometimes going out to investigate some of this stuff. Baker, we go back to that investigation that you and I did. Everybody was oohing and ahhing over these photographs. You asked the guy for the photos. It's a blow-up of Polaroids from his grandma's bay window. This guy has aliens. He's got Bigfoot. He's got
circles
all in this. Circles galore in this.
Goddamn circles.
Baker rides up the road. He didn't realize we didn't.
He jumped out of a moving car.
He jumps out of a moving vehicle to get out of there because he's worried that he just took a ride up the road with Mrs. Voorhees. He did. He was.
I saw how that movie started. I was not going to be the cook lady. Okay.
Same kind of Jeep.
Same kind of Jeep. But you make, and the worst part is you make one valid point. You're taking somebody, well, the one that I can really latch on to is you're taking somebody that's up here and like, I know what I'm seeing, I know whatever, and you're corroding that dream. And when you do that, and as you pick any topic, and I'm not going to go into specifics because it'll upset people, but if you believe in something this hardcore and someone starts to chip away from it, your natural defense is to get angry because because you feel they're attacking you. It's not that they're attacking you. It's that they don't believe you and either need more information or science says you're just not right. And the thing is that people don't handle that well in any situation. Even when, like, Sean, you're a manager and you know that, and Matt, you're a cop. And if somebody walks over to you and says all your evidence that you collected was nothing, and you go, No, I did 17 hours worth of work. I had to deal with a smelly bum guy. You mad because this guy's tearing this down that you did all this work for. So when you go out to investigate, make sure you can solidly conversate. Like customer service voice is key. You might be, the wheels in the back of your head might be singing crazy, but what you need to do is just say, well, yeah, I can see your point of view, and a few other things. Let me take what you got that you're willing to give us, and we'll call you when things we see it. We can see it your way, and then you go get a coffee and you drive away. Okay.
Right. Yeah, but then there's also contrary to that, people, Baker, that have had ongoing encounters for 30, 40, 50 plus years that have been made out to be crazy, who may not be crazy at all. They may have had legitimate activity over the 50 years is a long time.
And that's valid. That's valid.
Ongoing experiences over that time, that's not unheard of. That is not uncommon.
But the thing with that is most of the people that are commonly having a use of experience, I have no problem with. You lived in the same town, the same house, and you saw Bigfoot 27 times because you still live in the land that it lives in. Same like the deer and all the other animals that live in that surrounding area. But if you say, oh, then I drove to Oklahoma and there was one at the gas station, then I drove to Tennessee and there was another one at this other Sunoco. Is it traveling to Sunocos around the country that you happen to be at? No.
Sunoco Squatch.
Yeah. That's where I have no problem with habituation. It's where these people say, I see it every day, and you've got no video, you've got no photos, you've got no hair, you've got no tracks. Bullshit. You got nothing because you're not seeing what you think you're seeing. You're talking to your imaginary pet rabbit. Okay.
James, you brought up so many excellent points, and there you brought back a lot of flashback memories. My partner out here in the northeast part is Les Cabbage, great researcher, wonderful guy, and there's been 2 occasions that we've been out in. The one we can't go into details, but thankfully, I had a second person go with me because I did not feel safe in that house. And then there was another time where, again, we can't go into too many details, but the guy was so convinced that what was going through his property was a Bigfoot that he spent thousands of dollars on thermal equipment, on cameras, on voice recorders, everything. And he knew in the back of his mind that was a Sasquatch. And Les and I are sitting there looking at the trackway. I'm like, no, this is something that bounded. Like, it could have been a deer. It could have been really anything that was able to bound towards the end of the property. But this guy was so convinced that he didn't want to listen to us. He went to 4 other researchers trying to get that validation, and it was the validation that we just Les and I just did not we didn't feel comfortable because it wasn't there.
Wow.
And you make a valid point, because I used to sell electronics to people. Okay, and we would have people that would come in that would tell us that someone's messing with their property, and they would buy thousands of dollars equipment. We'd set it up, everything else, and like nothing. But when they came in, they go, your cameras aren't right because he was there. No, that he wasn't there. You're seeing, and you try to be polite, and it's 6 months later, so you're not returning the stuff. Sorry, and their family comes in and goes, don't sell them anything else. I'm like, sorry. I have explained to them that we shouldn't be helping them, but they still keep giving us a credit card. We're not evil. We just can't tell them no. And you as a police officer, and even Vance and Sean, there are people that if they're dead set, that's what it is. There's no way parting them from that road without hurting them mentally.
Yeah.
When you don't want
more
to
harm than help.
Because the lady, the one that I dealt with, was a nice person, and if you weren't talking about the fact that someone was stalking her in her yard, she seemed completely okay. But then you have the opposite problem of you don't believe somebody, and you don't believe somebody, and the neighbor next door has been trying to poison her for 5 years. Like
someone done killed her, and now we didn't And I mean, you run into that situation. And for the sake of time, we got to start wrapping it up here because we're going over. But You know, the big distraction, Vance, this is a great episode. It took us down several rabbit holes that were really worth talking about. I think everybody made some great points tonight. At the end of the day, I think to sum it up, we're not trying to hurt anybody. We're trying to add a little bit more critical thought to your life.
Right.
Think about things. Weigh them out. Weigh the pros. Weigh the cons. Weigh the consequences. And partner up whenever you can for safety. Folks, I'm Sean the Fort Chop Forker. He's James Baker. That's Vance Nesbitt. He's Matt Arner. And there's Henry May. Henry, give him those closing words.
Y'all be good. Be good at it.
We will see you next week with another great episode. Thanks for tuning in tonight, folks. Woo-hoo. Keep on squatching.
You've been listening to Sasquatch Experience. Please rate and review where this podcast has been consumed. To share your experience, visit us on Facebook, our website, or email us info@sasquatchexperience.com. Keep on squatching.